Good morning, friends. Let's sing a morning song out of the great hymn book, People Look East. Hymn number 226, I invite you to rise in body and our spirit after you swam through that lake on Division. Let's sing together, People Look East.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Olympia UU congregation. Our community envisions an interconnected world that is loving, just, and healthy. We commit to live out our mission, to embrace and embody, to welcome and wonder, to bridge and become. Thank you for joining us this morning. My name is Kurt Hill. I'm a member of the Worship Arts team. I prefer he, him pronouns, and I'm a tall, kind of balding, mid-60s white guy. Leading worship with me this morning is our minister, Reverend Mary Geer, Troy Fisher, our music director, and Reverend Sarah Lewis, the director of community and faith development. You are welcome here just as you are. Whatever faiths you embody, whomever you love, in all the ways you know yourself, and in the ways you're becoming the person you aspire to be. Here are a few things you should know about the service this morning. We are broadcasting live on Zoom and YouTube, and you can see the subtitles here on the screen, and if you're on Zoom. Over here, we have wonderful fluffy chairs and activities for your hands so you can be comfortable. And we are a multi-generational community. Everyone is welcome in the sanctuary. There is nursery care and a story time program for children in the classroom wing. Please be where you're most comfortable. After service this morning, everyone will have an opportunity to join in fellowship. If you're online, I invite you to go to a chat to have a virtual chat in a breakout room, right? That all makes sense, right? And if you're here live, to join us in the Commons for fellowship right after service. Tonight, you can join the OUUC choir and guest musicians at 7 o'clock for a concert and community sing-in. The evening, called Where the Light Begins, features some holiday favorites, Leonard Cohen, the Beatles, some classical and sing-alongs to lift our spirits. Come and join as we fill the sanctuary with music. Have you signed up for the Gather, Grow, and Guide sessions to share stories, build connections, and deepen our sense of community? Have you? Come and gather in the homes of OUUC members for light refreshments and explorations for what it means to this community, what this community means to you. Please see the announcement at the OUUC Weekly Update for sign-up information, or check the chat if you're online. There are many things happening at OUUC. Check the weekly electronic update on Tuesday or the website for the latest information. Now, let us open our hearts and minds as we prepare for worship. It is good to be here. This morning, we join Unitarian Universalist congregations around the world in lighting a chalice, a symbol of our faith tradition. We light our chalice with the words of Sharon Wiley. In honor of ancient traditions that celebrate this time of longest night, we observe that the flaming chalice holds the elements of the four directions: earth, air, fire, water. The lamp for earth, the air that feeds the flame, and the fire we light, and the chalice itself, the cup, the symbol of water. We light our chalice and reflect on the light we need to guide us through hard times. The light of our shared, let me try that one again. The light of our shared faith, the light of loving community, the light of love, joy, and hope.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Mary, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm an older white woman with brown and silver hair. I'm wearing glasses, a black and white striped dress, and a blue stole. In each of the 4 weeks approaching Christmas, we've lit a candle in the Advent wreath. As Unitarian Universalists, we reclaim and reinterpret old traditions that are part of our heritage, as well as exploring new ideas. So far, we've lit candles for peace, hope, and joy. Today, we add a candle for love. Will you join me in saying the words on the slide? Whether we are finding renewal among people who are special to us or doing the work of justice or repairing our relationships, our sacred sense of connection runs through it all. Love is holy. May our commitment to love bring us closer together across our divisions, and may love move us to healing ourselves and the world. We light candles for peace, hope, joy, and love. Our opening words for this morning are offered by the Reverend Carrie Kopnick. The sound of rain, not cheerful songs, a quiet rocking chair, not traditions of the season, the early sunset, not dancing lights, loss, tender heart, hollow soul, heavy days. Grief is welcome, a sacred part of the mourning, of the bereft, of the weeping. Amidst the celebrating, this too belongs. This too is holy. It binds us to our ancestors, the earth, the stars, yet still a steaming mug of tea warms the belly. The dog wags its tail, and the cat purrs. There are laughter and tears, sometimes both, beside the joy This too belongs. Sharing human suffering is connection. Hearts like stones are held by all that is. Grief and light intertwined. This too belongs. You too belong. Come, let us worship together.
Let's sing together again out of the gray hymnal, hymn number 55, Dark of Winter. I invite you to rise in body and our spirit, and let's sing together. Dark of winter, soft and still, your quiet calm surrounds me. Let my thoughts go where they will, ease my mind profoundly, and then my soul will sing a song, a blessed song of love eternal. Gentle darkness, soft and still, bring your quiet to me. Darkness, soothe my weary eyes, that I might see more clearly. When my heart with sorrow cries, comfort and caress me. And then my soul will hear a voice, a small voice of love eternal. Darkness, when my fears arise, let your peace flow through me. Thank you.
Good morning. It was the night before Solstice Day, and Tristan was helping his father roll the giant Yule log into their home. This log was so big that it would burn all night long and into the next day. And it was Tristan's family's tradition to burn a Yule log each year for solstice night. Even though the log would smoke and fill the home with smoke that would make Tristan's eyes sting and cry, but still they would enjoy it. In fact, the entire extended family and all of their neighbors would gather for a full night-long festivity with dancing and singing, music, laughter. It would be crowded, sweaty, smoky. Tristan wasn't looking forward to it. At 13 years old and the oldest child in the family, Tristan felt like solstice night just meant more chores. Why, it just meant more firewood to chop, more water to carry, more help to do. And as the oldest, it seemed like all of Tristan's younger siblings were just constantly after Tristan for attention and to play with them, and it just felt smothering, while at the same time the adults seemed to completely ignore him and not see him unless there was something they wanted him to do. And so as people started to gather for this night of festivity, Tristan slipped out into the night alone. A little peace and quiet, he thought. As he stood outside, it was cold, but also clear. It was peaceful, but also lonely. And he thought maybe he would go and find the sheep. At least they always seemed very happy to see him. And so he wandered off looking for the flock. And he found them eventually in one of the farthest fields from the house. They were, in fact, happy to see him. And so he sat on a fence with the sheep, feeling rather sorry for himself. And then he heard a strange sound. It sounded like a baby crying, maybe, or a child in distress. But that couldn't be right, not way out here in the far field. Unless maybe a child had wandered off by themselves. That would be very dangerous. Out here, there were old wells and caves and hollows, and if you didn't know where you were going, you could easily fall in the darkness. And so Tristan set out to follow the sound and see where it was coming from. And he followed it to, in fact, one of the old wells, which was now just a pile of stones. You wouldn't know that there was a well there unless you knew the land, like Tristan did. And so he went to the well, and he looked down, and there was sort of a white blob down there at the bottom of the well, bleeding and crying. Why, it was a lamb that had wandered off by itself and fallen down into the well. It sounded so scared and alone. Tristan knew he had to help, and he knew he was a good climber, so he started to climb down into the well. The stones were pretty rough. It seemed like he was doing well, until suddenly they were slick, and he wasn't doing well, and he fell. He fell down, 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 splash, all the way to the bottom of the well. He couldn't climb back up. It was too slippery. Oh no, he was stuck, and no one knew where he had gone. Looking up at the top of the well, Tristan could only just think, oh, now I've done it. Here I am, trapped. He had never felt so alone. And then there was a little bleat and a bump against his leg, and he looked down and saw that lamb. It was also wet and cold, but picking it up and hugging it to him, he felt a little warmer and a little less alone. Together, Tristan and the lamb continued to stand at the bottom of the well as night truly fell and the stars began to come across the sky. He could only see just that one round opening. But looking up at the stars, he felt a little more peaceful again. And at some point, he must have fallen asleep. Because when he woke with a start, it was like he was standing in a field of stars all around his feet, like he was in the stars. And it was the most magical sight for a moment until he realized that he was looking down at the water and the stars reflected in the bottom of the well. But even realizing that that's what it was, still, it was so beautiful to stand amongst the stars. Tristan wasn't sure how long he was in the bottom of that well. It felt like it truly was the longest night of his life. But eventually he heard cries. Tristan! Tristan! They seemed to be coming from multiple directions. There were people out shouting his name. And so he cleared his throat and he yelled, I'm here, I'm in the old well, be careful. And before he knew it, he was looking up at his father's face, looking down at him. And then more faces, his mother, his neighbors, his aunts and uncles, even his little brothers and sisters. Why, they had all been out all night looking for him. And soon a rope was thrown down, and everyone helped pull him up, and there were hugs and cries and laughter. And as they were all celebrating that they had found each other, no one noticed as the golden disk of the sun slowly rose over the horizon, the promised return of day again. Thus ends our story for today.
Each Sunday, we engage in the spiritual practices of generosity and gratitude by joining together in service to our community and something greater than ourselves. We each have the power to share, and when we combine our gifts to create an offering, together we're able to do more than we can alone. We also express our gratitude for our gifts that life has given us, for the network of relationships in which we live, and for the presence of this beloved community. If you're new or visiting us for the first or second time, we don't expect you to give. However, if you're moved to do so, whatever you give will be gratefully received. Now, the offering here does two things. It supports the ongoing work of the congregation, which is, of course, supported by your regular pledges. It also supports an organization in our community that's aligned with our Unitarian Universalist values. Our Share the Plate organization for November and December is CARE, which stands for Collaborative Association for Reintegration and Education. This is what they share about their work.
Hello to the Olympia UU congregation. Thank you for inviting us for this year's Share the Plate. I'm Katie Strozik, Interim Executive Director.
And I'm Aranza Vasquez, our Program Director. We represent CARE Olympia, which stands for Collaborative Association for Reintegration and Education, serving youth and young adults that have been impacted by the criminal legal system and the systemic barriers that coincide with incarceration or detention.
CARE is centered around empowering our community, and we believe that housing is a human right. A significant amount of research has proven housing-first methods are not only the most equitable, but also that they're evidence-based in having folks maintain housing and achieve self-identified goals. Having a home, clean water to shower, access to food, and basic necessities, these are all things that we can often blindly cherish, while others lack access to such vital resources. Available data finds that almost half of the youth who have experienced homelessness have also been in a juvenile detention facility or jail at some point. In comparison, only 15% of the general population has been incarcerated or detained. We address this disproportionality by providing basic needs and listening to youth so that they can share their solutions.
Donations like yours help us obtain and sustain needs for the youth we serve, like community and belonging built through meals or a coffee with our peers during sessions. Other needs include down payments to secure housing or working cell phones to enable the ability of navigating resources, connecting with your peer counselor, applying for jobs, and being reachable for callbacks, appointments, and things alike. With proper funding, we're even able to provide a mattress to sleep on once our peers achieve housing. While these donations are imperative to run our programs to success, the most important part is an involved and active community like yours.
We're so appreciative of you taking the time to give attention to these empowering solutions, and you're all actively making a difference by seeking ways to get involved. Thank you for your part.
Passing the plate is never simply a practical exercise. It's always been a ritual reminder of that form of love we call generosity. May the offering now be generously given as it is gratefully received.
Thank you, Troy. And thank you all for your generosity in all the ways you share your many gifts. This morning, we do what humans have done since we have existed. We gather in times of worry and anxiety, and in times of celebration and joy. We come into our community bringing all that is on our minds and in our hearts. Let's open our hearts to the complexity of life as we place stones in the water of community. You will hear a drumbeat. Allow its resonance to enter your body. It is the heartbeat of life, the heartbeat of our community. So right now, I invite you to take a deep breath in and out. Feel the air as it enters and leaves your body. Feel the earth beneath us. Feel the warmth of connection. This morning, I am so pleased to share the joy of automatic door openers at OUUC. For real. Yeah. If you haven't checked them out yet, they're on the front doors and the RE doors, and do so if you haven't. Thank you so much to a generous donor who helped pay for them, and to the Buildings and Grounds team members Gerald Dodson, Eric Ness, and John Cox, who installed them. They are absolutely. They are helping to make our building more accessible and literally open our doors wide. Thank you. And now let's open our circle wide. For those on Zoom, I invite you to share from your heart by entering in the chat. Those in the sanctuary can see your sharing on the screen, and it is shared with me and the pastoral care team. For those on site today, I invite you to come forward if there's something you'd like to bring into this community. You may place a stone in the water as you hold your sharing in your heart. Let's hear the heartbeat of our community as we reach out our hearts in love and care to all who share today. We place a stone in the water for all that has been shared online, shared from the heart. And we'll place one more stone in the water for all that we hold in our hearts and that remains unspoken. We hold together all that has been shared. May you feel yourself witnessed. May you know yourself beloved. Would you please join me in the spirit of prayer? Spirit of life, ancestor of the stars and the sun, you who embrace the vastness of space and us along with it, be with us today. Hold us in our worry, our exhaustion, our grief. Keep us close as we sit with our truth, whatever that may be. Lead us to rest in the quiet, to find solace and renewal in this time of shifting light and dark. You whose arms open with the spinning galaxies, help us to make room as you do for all that is. Open our hearts to our loved ones, our neighbors, the beings with whom we share this planet. Lead us to reach out to others in compassion. Turn us toward one another in mercy, right relationship, and reconciliation. In this space, filled with the people among us who shine like the stars, this space filled with the sparkle of love and care, we give thanks for this moment of being together. May our senses be open to the beauty of this day, this season, this world. Let's continue our contemplation in silence.
By night we hasten in darkness to search for the living water. Only our thirst leads us onward. Only our thirst leads us onward. Join me. By night we hasten in darkness to search for the living water.
Today's reading is from Bruce Marshall. I wish for you a season in which there is room for the complexities that occur during this time, a season of complicated memories, of happiness and pain, of comfort and loss, of disappointment and fulfillment, a season of joy, which also has room for sadness, because gladness and sorrow take place together.
All through this month, we have been lighting candles in the Advent wreath, a reclaiming of Unitarian Universalism's Christian heritage. Lighting candles of peace, hope, joy, and love are timeless longings, prayers, and practices, and also have meaning for us in this particular moment. This ancient practice brings tradition into the present, connecting us to our ancestors as we look toward the future. In the Western Christian tradition, the Sunday in Advent, closest to the winter solstice, the longest night of the year, is known as Blue Christmas. Now, when I say Blue Christmas, perhaps some of you are like me, and you start hearing in your head Elvis singing his holiday classic of that name. Now, if you know the song, let's sing the first line together, shall we? I'll have a blue Christmas without you. Oh, lovely, even better than Elvis. From my head to yours, I promise it'll be with you all day. Now, although this song was originally released in 1948, it became a holiday classic when Elvis and Martina McBride released the song in 1957. Today, on Blue Christmas Sunday, it would be a good day to listen to it, especially if you have never heard it before. It's all over the internet. And we'll put a link in the chat for those of you who are online. Now, Elvis revolutionized music in so many ways, and this song is one example. During the Christmas holiday, when music tends to be playful, like Frosty the Snowman and Jingle Bells, or contemplative, like O Holy Night, Elvis sang a song of loss and longing and lamentation. You can hear the song as one of love lost or of a lost loved one. And of course, this song was a hit because, well, Elvis. And I believe it was also a hit and continues to be because it speaks to the complexity of this season. Out in the world, we experience joyful carols and bright colors and an almost frenetic energy that demands that we be jolly and bright. And jolly and bright may be true for some people, and for some of us, some of the time. And this is also the season when we most acutely feel our losses. Lost love. Lost loved ones, all the losses we experience when we live the life of a human who loves. When we love, we lose and we grieve. While all is jolly and bright outside, inside, we may be singing a song of loss, longing, and lamentation. Blue Christmas invites us to bring what is outside, what is inside, outside. So today I invite us to be as brave as Elvis and bring what is inside us out into the warmth of community. This is a ritual of making the invisible as visible as we want it to be, of bringing what we experience in the darkness out into the light. Let's acknowledge the complexity of all the feelings at this time: happiness and pain, disappointment and fulfillment, gladness and sorrow. All the feelings are welcome here. You are welcome here. So I invite you to settle in wherever you are. Get comfortable so that you can breathe and be in your body to notice what arises for you. And let the words wash over you as we begin with a reading titled Litany of Comfort for Blue Christmas. A litany is a responsive reading. Your part is on the screen and will be in the chat. And let's say the response together one time. We find comfort in naming these feelings. We find some peace in being together. All around us are bright lights and merry messages, yet in our heart not all is joyful. There is grief with the loss of relationships, those we love no longer with us because of death, those we have loved who are estranged from us, those we love yet experience a diminishment of intimacy. There is grief with the loss and change of relationship. Grief, bittersweet, for it is a consequence of the presence of love. This season brings forth many feelings. We find comfort in naming these feelings. We find some peace in being together. All around us are bright lights and merry messages, yet in our heart not all is joyful. There may be pain in our bodies, physical pain as the natural outcome of aging, physical pain that presents itself as illness, pain in the body that forces us to change and impose limitations, pain, bittersweet, for physical experience includes both pain and pleasure. And this season brings forth many feelings. We find comfort in naming these feelings. We find some peace in being together. All around us are bright lights and merry messages, yet in our heart not all is joyful. There may be anger and regret with the memories we hold, anger with past experiences of abuse or hurt, regret of our own actions that may have caused hurt to others, anger that life has not turned out as we imagined, regret for what we might have said or done. Anger and regret, bittersweet in presenting the possibility for healing and forgiveness. This season brings forth many feelings. We find comfort in naming these feelings. We find some peace in being together. All around us are bright lights and merry messages, yet in our heart not all is joyful. There may be uncertainty that accompanies transition and change, uncertainty of what the future may bring, uncertainty of direction or purpose after retirement or a change of vocation, uncertainty when changing residence by choice or by necessity, uncertainty, bittersweet, for change, a constant in life, lets us know we are alive. And change, along with this season, brings forth many feelings. We find comfort in naming these feelings. we find some peace in being together. All around us are bright lights and merry messages, and yet our heart, not all, is joyful. There may be a sense of hopelessness in the face of so much violence and suffering, hopelessness with attempts to heal our aching world and ourselves, hopelessness in witnessing what we have not managed to accomplish, hopelessness, bittersweet, for its longing reminds us of our capacity for hope and the human spirit's tenacity and courage that rests deep within each of us. This season brings forth many feelings. We find comfort in naming these feelings. We find some peace in being together. All around us are bright lights and merry messages, yet in our heart not all is joyful. There is loneliness. Loneliness when we find ourselves alone after being long partnered. Loneliness when we are separated from loved ones. Loneliness when we move to a new community and struggle to find our way. Loneliness that never seems filled even with good company. Loneliness that is ever present, aching in the heart. Loneliness, bittersweet, for it is felt only when we have known connection. And this season brings forth many feelings. We find comfort in naming these feelings. We find some peace in being together. All around us are bright lights and merry messages, yet in our heart not all is joyful. We know grief and pain. We know anger and regret. We know hopelessness and loneliness. We know all these feelings. We name them. We live them, for such is the human experience. That love presents us with the possibility of being hurt, with the grief of loss. That connection holds the potential of loneliness and uncertainty. That forgiveness can begin to heal anger and regret. That being alive is a courageous act in which we engage all of our emotions. And this season brings forth many feelings. We find comfort in naming these feelings. We find some peace in being together. Breathe in this moment and notice what is arising in you. What words are staying with you? What feelings are present in this moment? In a moment, I will invite you to speak your feelings as we light candles nestled in a bed of glass beads. These candles represent the light in each of us as we bring what is inside out into the light of community. The glass beads represent our tears, shed in joy and sorrow, tears felt inside and perhaps shared outside. For those online, you may enter your feelings in the chat, and in a moment I'll read some of them And for those on site, I invite you now to speak your feelings into this space, in the warmth of this community, in the peace of being together. You may whisper or speak or shout, one word or several. Pain, suffering, empathy, grief, gratitude, fear, balance, listen, love, grace, thankfulness. All the feelings. Joy, memories, hopelessness, appreciation, being inadequate, anticipation, dread. In acknowledgement of all these feelings, we bless these beads, symbols of our tears. May they be witnessed with caring hearts. We bless these candles, symbols of our feelings. May they be witnessed with loving spirits. We bless this space that holds us as we bear witness to ourselves and to each other. Mingled with all these feelings, may we hold on to the spiritual practice of hope. May we remember that hope rises. It rises from the heart of life here and now, beating with joy and sorrow. Hope longs. It longs for good to be affirmed, for justice and love to prevail, for suffering to be alleviated, and for life to flourish in peace. Hope remembers. It remembers the dreams of those who have gone before and reaches for connection with them across the boundary of death. Hope acts. It acts to bless, to protest, and to repair. On this winter solstice, this blue Christmas, may we embrace all the feelings and the blessings of this season. Blessed be. Amen.
Let's sing together. Go lifted up, love as your way. Moonlight, starlight, guide your journey into peace.
For those on site, I invite you to pick up a candle. We'll extinguish them. Pick up a candle or some glass beads or both on your way out to help you stay grounded in the complexities of this season. And for those online, we'll put in the chat a link for a virtual candle for you. We extinguish our chalice and all of the flames with these words adapted from Kevin Jago. When the candle dims, the wax almost spent, the light turns amber like the sunset. Still, it provides light. Still, it provides heat. Still, it can kindle new flame. When the candle dims, all is not lost. Hope continues, uncertain and true, like candlelight, ready to spark again. May you go with joy, go with commitment, go with love.